All right, y'all, welcome back to the Healing University. I'm Black Angel, and we're still doing an energetic healing course. So the next class we're going to be having now is going to be dealing with mediumship and channeling. Mediumship and channeling. Now, what is mediumship? Mediumship is the ability to be a medium between, the other side, talking to spirits who have already transitioned, passed on, and the medium between them and the person you may be giving that message to, meaning that I'm not, this person is not necessarily inside of my body, this spirit, I can be able to communicate externally, take what they have to say, and then translate it to the person who's receiving the message from their loved one. Okay. Now, again, when we're talking about mediumship, we're talking about outside of self, right? When we say translating, we're saying looking at maybe the images or what we hear or what we may even sometimes feel to translate that to the client or the person that we're doing it for so that they can know the message their loved one is trying to give to them. Okay. And then, of course, you have channeling. Now, channeling deals with what? Something flowing through you. When we say channeling certain type of frequencies or energies, we're talking about allowing these energies to actually flow through us, through our own body. So when we talk about channeling a spirit, that also is allowing the spirit to use our body as a vessel to communicate. So that's the difference between mediumship and channeling. Okay. Okay. Mediumship again, external, channeling, internal. So when we talk about mediumship, we talk about channeling, that's the easiest way that you can decipher the difference between the two. Now, what you will know is that a lot of times mediumship is and channeling can be used together simultaneously. This means that a spirit can use your vessel to allow you to feel certain things and then step out and use a picture in your mind's eye to show you something or speak to you, right? So you may be seeing an image of something being shown from the spirit, and you also may be feeling what the spirit is talking about at the same time. So a lot of times, again, you'll see mediumship and channeling being used together in one session. There are some spirits that only want to communicate in a mediumship type of vibe, meaning they only want to talk to you externally. And then there are some spirits who don't want to talk, externally. They only want to channel through you. That's all they want to do. Okay. So before we get any deeper into class, we're going to go ahead and start with our grounding and calling in our divine support team to be able to continue with class and make sure we have the right protection and guidance. So at this time, I'm going to mute and turn the camera off for a little bit to allow you time to ground yourself and call in your divine support team, Mashe. All right, all right. So how's everybody feeling? Everybody should be grounded. Everybody should be feeling good. You can answer in the chat if you want. Just want to know how everybody's feeling now that you're grounded. And then we're going to keep on going. Good. Okay, good. Good stuff. All right. So let's back up a little bit. We're going to go back to just talking about mediumship just for a little bit. Okay. All right. So mediumship, just like any other session that you do where you are channeling energy, moving energy, whatever you may be doing with energy, we got to prep. We got to be ready and prepared to do it. Now, there will be some times when you're out and about in public where mediumship, you'll be put on the spot, meaning that you might go up to the cashier and while he or she are checking your groceries, you may see a loved one that's standing behind them or on the side of them. And the reason why you're able to see it is because at that moment, the divine has intervened to say, look, we need to place protection. We're going to allow this medium to see this spirit so that they can communicate and get that message right on the spot to that person. This is almost like the mediumship happening in autopilot. You're not trying, it's just happening because the divine has felt that this is the right time to send that message. So that's the difference when it comes to when you're purposely doing it versus when it just happens on its own. Okay, so with mediumship, again, preparing your space, you want to make sure that you're grounded. You want to make sure that you're hydrated because you're going to be channeling possibly, right? You want to make sure that your chakra system is aligned because remember, these spiritual gifts that we have also come from, or they channel through our chakras as well, especially when it comes to the solar plexus for the ability to feel. And when it comes to the third eye and the crown chakra, when it comes to receiving information through the third eye and transmitting information through the crown chakra. And then the crown chakra, of course, also deals with being connected to the divine, right? So you want to always make sure your chakra system is in check. The best time you should be doing it should be probably before bed. Align your chakra system so that your dreams can come in clear and that you can rest better, because the more rested you are, right, the better it is for you to be able to be a medium and channel because your body is not as tired. Okay. Also, when it comes to mediumship, when prepping, try not to eat a heavy meal. Try to eat something light. If you eat something heavy, the digestive system tends to pull on a lot of physical energy to digest food. So if you know you're going to be doing some mediumship and really any kind of healing, make sure that you eat something light so that the food doesn't take so much away from the energy in your physical body that you're going to need to do this session, right? Okay. Calling on your divine support team for protection and guidance. And the reason why you definitely want to do that is because sometimes there are spirits that are kind of just lingering and roaming around, and those spirits need to cross to the other side. They need to be transitioned. And sometimes we need our divine support team to maybe show us, hey, before you start, there's some people that need some help, right? So easy way to cross over souls is simply, if you're using your mind's eye, you can pick a spot anywhere around you, away from you, and imagine yourself opening up a portal with the intentions of any spirits that are around you or attached to you, if they need to cross over, that they can cross at this time. And you just allow those spirits to go into that portal of transition. Now you can also ask your divine support team to assist you in crossing souls over. Meaning, I may say, sometimes I might say, I call them my divine support team with gratitude, love, and I'm asking you all to remove any souls that are, around me within, 500 meters radius. And if you can cross them over so that I can, we can get ready to focus on this session so that there's no interference. So if you start a mediumship and got a lot of souls around you, a lot of spirits kind of roaming, then the spirit that you're trying to reach, some of these spirits, they might jump in, right? I've had it to where I've had to say, does your loved one looks like, and I describe what I see, and they're like, mm-mm. And I'm like, okay, let's cross this one over. And then another person comes and then you describe and they're like, no. I'm like, okay, okay. Let's cross over all these souls. And then when I say, okay, this is what I see, they're like, yep, that's them. So sometimes when those souls are not crossed, they will try to jump in the front of the line to say, hey, before you start, help me first, right? So you want to make sure that you've already cleared any lingering spirits and souls in your area and any that may be attached to you. Now, the other important part about crossing them is because remember, even some of the lingering spirits and ones in so-called purgatory, right? Some of them can also try to channel through you. So they maybe give you feelings in the physical body that are not yours and are not the spirit that you're attempting to connect to. So even when you're not doing mediumship or channeling, you still can be having phantom pains and pressures in your physical body from lingering spirits. So you always, in my opinion, once you feel that intuition to cross souls, like go ahead and do it, because they can prevent you from sleeping well. They can prevent you from feeling good because you can take on some of their ailments, and then also because their anxiety of wanting to transition will cause you anxiety, and until you cross them over, your anxiety won't go away. So yeah, you just want to always, as a medium, as somebody who know you're a medium, uh, take time to help souls cross to the other side periodically, so that you don't have that interference, and it's better for them anyway. Okay, all right, preparing your space, just like we do with Reiki sessions or any other type of sessions. You want to make sure your space is clean and cleared, right? That means maybe using sage, maybe using selenite, or any other cleansing and clearing mediums or talismans that you want to use to clear and cleanse your space, to include your own body and your own energetic fields. Okay, all right. And then of course, hydration, because we know water helps channel the energy better. So make sure you are hydrated, definitely prior to a mediumship session. Okay, now let's talk about some crystals that I feel are useful during mediumship. One is going to be amethyst. Amethyst, because amethyst protects against other energies and entities trying to attach to you. Sorry about that. All right, here we go. So using amethyst helps for protection during a mediumship session. Okay. Amethyst also is a crystal that brings peace. So having that calmness, that calm energy, that peaceful energy in a session like this is really good to have, right? So having your amethyst. The other crystal is black tourmaline. Black tourmaline protects against negative energy, taking negative energy and transmuting it to positive energy. So it's good to have black tourmaline in the space to keep the vibrations high and the energy positive. Okay, and black tourmaline also helps against harmful frequencies like cell phone radiation and radiation and frequencies from electronic devices. So having black tourmaline around you, which is also what I'm wearing here. This is created by me, by the way. So having your black tourmaline around you can block out those harmful frequencies that can also interfere with your mediumship and channeling. So placing black tourmaline between you and any type of electronic device will block those harmful frequencies. Now, black tourmaline, let me say this one last thing about it. Black tourmaline also purifies your energetic fields, your auras. So having black tourmaline is also good for that. If you have smaller pieces, place it on the floor in a grid and stand in it, and that'll cleanse your aura and recharge it and rejuvenate it. Okay, another crystal that I believe is good for mediumship is going to be labradorite. It's going to be labradorite. Labradorite is good for empaths, and it's good for blocking you from absorbing people's energies. So when you're talking about channeling, it's okay to channel energy, even with labradorite on you. But once the channeling is done, the labradorite will help expel that energy that you are channeling, so that you don't walk away from the session holding the other spirit's energy. Also, labradorite is a crystal that also helps connects to angels, ancestors. So talking about mediumship, this is definitely one I believe is good to have. Okay, and this is labradorite. Okay, and the last crystal I want to bring to this, well, maybe second to last, this is going to be selenite. Selenite is probably one of the highest vibrational crystals. And because it is, selenite also connects you to your angels, connects you to the divine because of the high vibrations that it gives. Now, selenite is also one of those crystals that can cleanse your energetic field, purify your energetic field and your chakra system. So taking selenite, going over your auras and energetic fields before the session to cleanse and clear it is a very easy and quick way to cleanse yourself before you do anything. And I also recommend using selenite even around your electronic devices and just a space that you're working in, because when you wand your selenite around your space, it takes all negative energy and it turns into positive energy, because the selenite energy is always going to vibrate higher than negative energy, which is why it's good for cleansing. Okay, all right. Let's see. Other crystal that I would recommend maybe will be clear quartz. This is a pretty small one, but you want to get a decent sized clear quartz that you can use. Clear quartz can be good to use like a crystal ball, where you can actually use it as like an extension of your third eye. The clear quartz can amplify your divine sight to help you see on the other side easier. So this is one of my crystal wands. So I would recommend, a decent sized clear quartz to work with when you're talking about using it for divination purposes. The clearer the clear quartz, the better. The clearer, the better. So if you can find one with a decent size that's pretty clear, that would definitely help. And then, of course, using the crystal ball itself will help as well. Even if the crystal ball is just in the area that you're working in, it'll still work. You don't have to hold it, or you don't have to do anything. As long as it's near you, it will still do its job. All right. Okay, so prepping our space. I believe that's everything when it comes to prepping. Lights may also could be an issue, right? The third eye works better in darkness. So dimming the lights or turning your lights off and doing your mediumship reading in a lower light setting could also be very helpful when it comes to mediumship. And that's any type of clairvoyant work. The lights can play a role in it. Okay, last but not least is just making sure that overall your vibrations are high. If you don't feel good, if you're not in a good mood, do not tap into mediumship or any type of spiritual work. Always ensure that your own feelings and emotions and energies are stabilized and balanced so that you can prepare for the session. If you don't, what can happen is when you're channeling a spirit, your own feelings can be triggered. And then it can be, again, confusing when it comes to you trying to translate what you're feeling. You might be saying, hey, did your loved one have something going on in the chest? I feel heavy, when really it's your own heaviness in your chest that you haven't cleared. So definitely make sure your emotions, your energies are stabilized. That's key before allowing yourself to attach to other spirits or letting spirits attach to you. Okay, all right. Let's talk about one thing about mediumship and channeling as we go into this. Do not be fearful of being a medium. Do not be fearful of being someone who channels. These spirits, right, they're on the other side. They're not there to harm you, at least the majority, right? And even if they were, you have a divine support team to protect you and remove them from you if they were to do something to try to harm you, right? So when you talk about mediumship, release any feelings of fear that you have associated with it. I know movies, TV shows, and when we talk about spirits, they can create these images that are distasteful to the eye, so then when we think about mediumship, we're scared that we're going to see something like that. So sometimes these inherited, these embedded memories, when it comes to what a spirit should or shouldn't look like, can definitely mess with how we approach when dealing with spirits. Okay, so before we get started, we're going to do a healing that releases any embedded and inherited memories and associated with mediumship and channeling. This will allow you to be able to see clearer when it comes to these spirits, and you'll see them in a way that is best for you to be able to see them versus when it comes to what the world has showed you what they're supposed to look like. Because everybody can see spirits differently, for their highest good. And I noticed when I talked about clearing those embedded memories and these memories, I automatically seen that my screen started to mess up, right? So even the energies that are attached to us are starting to expose themselves and say, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to be released. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So at this time, I'm going to use my staff to assist all of us in removing embedded and inherited memories associated with mediumship and channeling. Now, at the same time, you can also speak this out of you as well, right? So I will be an assistant versus doing it for you. So you want to call on your higher self to release all embedded and inherited memories associated with mediumship and channeling. I call on my higher self to release all embedded and inherited memories associated with mediumship and channeling, Ashe. So as I tap my staff, the waves of energy will be sent out to assist all of us in releasing those inherited memories and embedded memories associated with mediumship and channeling. So pay attention to where these energies are leaving the physical body. If you feel it in the legs, that may be telling you that your upbringing is associated with how you view spirits on the other side. If you feel it in your stomach, that could be telling you that you have a fear when it comes to spirits on the other side. Fear, okay? So ensure that, again, you speak out of yourself any fears that also may be associated with mediumship and channeling. So in assisting, I command that we release all forms of fear associated with mediumship and channeling. Ashe. So at this time, you're going to feel energies releasing from your physical body again. This time it's going to be associated with fear when it comes to mediumship and channeling. Again, coming from the legs, coming from the chest, the neck, the stomach, and even the third eye, which can be representing, apologies, which can be representing any thoughts of mediumship and channeling that may be associated around fears. Okay, so all right, everybody, let's take a deep breath in the nose and out the mouth. We want to make sure we're releasing any of those energies that are trying to come out at this time. Okay, again, And one more time. All right. So at this time, everyone should be feeling a lot lighter. And those energies that the majority of that energy should already, feel released from your body. So again, before we get deep into mediumship and channeling, let's also make sure our chakra system is aligned. So I'm going to assist everybody in this for the sake of class, commanding that our chakra system be cleansed, cleared, open, balanced, and healed, and aligned. Ashe. And at this time, we're going to start to feel our chakra system shifting. We may feel some tingling, some warming sensations, and just, different sensations in the physical body as your chakras start to align. All right. Okay, so for those who are here live in class, how y'all feeling so far? So those who are looking on YouTube, we are doing these classes via Zoom before they're uploaded in YouTube. So I'm looking in the Zoom chat to be able to see what the students that are here are feeling at the moment. Okay, one student said they feel more energetic. Amazing. I feel more energetic too now that you mentioned it. Okay, we got somebody that feels more relaxed, which is also cool because that helps with mediumship as well.
I feel a little sleepy, and I think you made a pivotal point when you mentioned that you shouldn't have food on your stomach.
Mm.
So that's but I feel good to be with the group and you. That's a good feeling.
Ashe, ashe. Thank you, Queen. All right. So going back into mediumship and channeling. Whew. Want to make sure, again, that fear is gone. Be excited to have the gift of mediumship and channeling. Some people look at certain gifts as like it's a gift and a curse, right? No gifts are curses. Okay, these gifts are used to help us heal this planet, to help us heal, other people. These gifts, believe it or not, we ask for these gifts prior to birth so that we can use them. So when you approach your spiritual gifts with excitement and acceptance, they work better for you and easier through you, and you can help heal more people, which also will give you more gratitude. So change your approach and how you look at your spiritual gifts. Remember, the spirits aren't scary. It's your own thoughts, it's your own feelings that may make them present themselves in a scary way because of those memories. So now that we've removed those embedded memories and how we see spirits, now we can see them in the positive light, whether good or bad. You can still see them in a way that will not be you won't be so afraid. You'll be able to say, okay, I see what that is, and that's just it, versus, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this, right? So change your approach and you'll notice the difference in how you communicate with spirit on the other side. All right, now we're grounded, we have our aura cleansed, our chakras are aligned, our vibrations are high, we either feel more energetic or we feel relaxed. Either way, we are ready to do mediumship. All right, so the way we're going to do mediumship, the way we're going to practice for today is we're going to use someone that right? Someone that that may have passed on, and we're going to allow them to present themselves to us so that we can speak with them. Okay, now the way we're going to do it, because we want to make sure we do this by the numbers and we want to make sure that we're not cheating ourselves. We're going to ask one of our loved ones that passed away, that we're not going to ask for a specific person. We're just going to ask one of them to present themselves to us, to connect to us. And then you will be able to figure out who it is by either using your inner ears, your inner eye, or what you feel. So we're going to allow the mediumship and channeling to happen naturally as your loved one wants to use it. Now, to prepare for this, I know that talking to loved ones on the other side can be a little emotional, right? But this is exactly why you have to stabilize your emotions and your energies prior to mediumship, even when you're doing it for your own self. So before we get into that, we're going to do one more thing then. We're going to stabilize the energies and emotions. Ashe. All right, so you all should be able to start feeling a shifting in your energy so it can be more stabilized so that you don't get emotional when your loved one presents themselves to you. So before you start, you want to make sure you're in a relaxed position where your body is kind of limp, right? You don't want to be tensed up because, again, you have to be able to feel as well. So you want to relax yourself, take a couple of deep breaths, and then you want to call on the spirit that you want to speak with, or in this case, we're calling on one of our loved ones who passed away that we know to connect with us. And you want to connect with spiritual protection around the session. So in other words, I may say, okay, if I'm doing it for someone else, I'm calling on this person's loved one, whatever their name is, with spiritual protection, meaning when they come to me, my divine support team already knows to go ahead and place that protection around us so that we're safe as we're communicating. Another way you can do it is imagine yourself in like a bubble or a healing pod or somewhere where it's just you and that loved one inside of like a room that's protected and closed off. That can also send intentions of protection around you as well. Okay. Now, I like it better with the divine protection because some of our spirit guides, they know who to allow in and who not to. So they know if we're calling on a specific person, your spirit team can actually step in and allow that person in without the stragglers, so to speak, trying to jump into the reader. So we relax. And at this time, where we're going to practice here, at this time, I call on one of my loved ones passed with spiritual protection who is willing and ready to connect with me at this moment. Ashe. Okay, so I see two of my loved ones that popped up. One is my uncle Pinky, and the other one is my aunt Pat. So my uncle Pinky, he had passed away when we did his funeral. He was wearing his Houston Texans football gear in a casket instead of a suit. We had him in his favorite team. And so the first image I seen in my mind, the first image I felt or seen was an image of him in the casket, right? So it's like, okay, boom, that right there told me that's him because I haven't seen that image in my mind since the funeral. So I know he's here. And then my aunt Pat, who passed away a couple of years ago, she usually visits me in my dream. So I know she's here with me. She may even be the one who guided him to me because I have dreams of her a lot. That tells me she's always around anyway, right? Now, so my Uncle Pinky is here. So I know he's here. Now, I'm going to first thank him for using his time and energy to present these images in my mind so I know who it is. And I'm going to thank my Aunt Pat as well for being the liaison to bring him to me for this training. And then I'm going to ask my Uncle Pinky, is there anything he wants to share with me and just show me? So the first image I'm seeing is a picture of his wife. And now a picture of his oldest daughter. So, and then I'm seeing a telephone. So he's wanting me to call them. He wants me to call him. He may even want me to call him so that I can tell them a message from him. I see a big thumbs up, like an emoji. So then that's correct. He's letting me know, yes, I want you to do that. Okay, I can do that. Now my Aunt Pat just came forward and she shows me an image of one of my cousins. And now I hear her voice. Her voice is saying, pray for her. So when we're talking about mediumship and channeling, right? When you hear the words in their voice, you have to be confident that that's them. Because when you're hearing your own words in your own voice, you know that's your higher self. So when you hear them, their voice, know that that is really them speaking to you. Like, you don't want to second guess that. You want to know that that's them. And so she shows me an image of my cousin, one of my cousins that I've had a dream about with her and my cousin in it. And the words I heard her was pray for her, right? So she wants me to speak healing and love and light and something, you know, whatever the words I need to pray over her or speak over her, it'll come to me when I start doing it. And that's when the channeling happens, right? So channeling is again, when spirit speaks through you, which means when I speak to her, my Aunt Pat is probably going to come through and use me to actually give the message, even though it's coming from my body. That's channeling. I always think of channeling as what's that movie? Ghost, the movie Ghost with Whoopi Goldberg and Patrick Swayze, where he sits inside of her body and then she takes on the persona of him. So you'll notice that sometimes when you do channeling and that spirit is using your body, you'll actually have their mannerisms. I have noticed in sessions that I have said certain words in a certain accent that represented that loved one that passed, and I didn't even realize I was doing it until the client said, oh my God, you sound just like him, or you're moving your hands the way he does. You know, this happened with a woman whose husband had passed away. So when channeling, you may not even realize it, but the other person will realize that you are actually acting out in a mannerism that their loved one usually would have, or you will say something the way that they would say it. So again, be confident in what you feel, what you hear, what you see, and just allow the session to flow. Don't try to control the mediumship. Don't try to control the channeling. Just let it flow, okay? So I go back and I allow, again, I'm asking my Uncle Pinky, Pat, if there's anything else that you want to tell me. Okay, so I'm not sure which one is showing me, but they're showing me a tire place that's down the street, and one of my vehicles has a donut on it. I need to get a new tire for it. So they're showing me, look, you need to go take care of that. So okay, I'll receive it. I'll receive it, and I'm gonna go do it. Okay, so I got an idea of why they're showing me that, because I need to travel, and they're probably showing me that's the vehicle I need to take with me when I go do it, because it's a van and I can put more stuff in the back when I go do it. So I received that message. Okay, so when we're talking about receiving these messages, right? Especially when we're talking about through the third eye, it's just like when we did the class on divine sight. You take the images to receive the messages. So if I see, so if I see an image of you know, like I said, the tire place, it was a specific tire place that I went to. So you take that image and then you show it or you tell it to the person that you're doing it for. And then you take the next image and you do the same thing. But just like in clairvoyant training, sometimes allow yourself to see all the images and then take the pictures and see the storyline that's being shown to you. So if I would have waited, I would have seen discount tire, then I would have seen a picture of my van, and then I seen the picture of the donut. So then I can take that story and say, go there, get the tire for that van to change out that donut. You see? So look at the storyline, then tell your client what you're seeing. Even if it doesn't make sense to you, you still tell it anyway, because the person who's receiving the information may know exactly what it is. I'm being reminded, I'm seeing a picture in my mind of a mediumship I did some years ago. And I told the young lady, I said, it was a mediumship with her grandmother. And I asked her grandmother to show me something that only she would know. That if I tell her, she'll say, oh yeah, that's my grandma, right? So I seen a picture of a brown wooden door, and I seen the image of a cross embedded into it. And when I told her, well, no, let me back up. It was a wooden cross, is what I seen. I seen a book, I seen a big cross made out of wood. And when I told her, she said, I'm not sure what that is. And I said, okay, that's what she keeps showing me, a cross made out of wood. And then about 30 minutes later, we were talking about something else. And then the client said, oh, wooden cross. My bedroom door was made of wood, and she had put a cross into it. You see? So sometimes they don't always show the images exact. They try to show it in a way that you can translate it, right? So now, if she was to show me that again, now anytime I think about this session, I don't see the wooden cross. I see the wooden door with the cross in it, because the client was able to, understand the translation, even if it took a little bit of time, you see? So you always speak what you see, no matter if you understand it or not. They will understand exactly what you're trying to say, even if they don't understand it right away, okay? All righty. Now, sometimes with spirits, again, they may want to show you who they are by feel. So let's say I connecting to the mediumship, right? And I see a vision of my Aunt Pat, and I see her smoking a cigarette, but then I feel her lungs, right? So me already knowing this information, I know she passed away from COPD, right? So I feel the lungs, right? And also feel the throat. So sometimes when you connect to a spirit, when you ask them for information to give to the client that only the client will know, you may not see something, you might only feel something. There's one mediumship I did where I told the client, I said, the woman that you're asking about, I feel like this pressure, this pinpointed pressure right here in my chest. And she said, oh yeah, that's her. She had a tube there because she had cancer, you see? So they always try to show you something that they can relate to. And then during the mediumship, I seen an image of like a cartoon version of a woman with her arms over children. There were two on one side and one on the other side. And I told her the image I seen, and she said, yep, that's her and her 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy. 2 girls on one side, the boy on the other. You see, so they will show you images that you can use to be able to translate the message, and they will sometimes have you feel certain parts of the body to also translate the message. Okay. Now I'm talking to my ancestors, right? My loved ones, right? So they're kind of reminding me of some things. One of the things they're reminding me of is the energy that it takes of mediumship. Now remember, these loved ones don't have a physical body, but they still have life force energy. They still have energy, and they have to use energy to create these images and to create these feelings. And in doing that, they can also be tired. They can get a little tired, and they will sometimes get a little impatient if the mediumship is taking too long, right? If it's been 30 minutes or more, there are some spirits that'll start doing this. They'll be like, all right, now we need to end this, because they need to rest to recoup the energy that they use during the mediumship session. So when you're conducting a mediumship session, you and the client has to make sure not to be selfish in the time that you take from them during that session. For me, when I do a mediumship session on my website, it's only going to be for 30 minutes, no more, unless the spirit is okay with going over that time. but I try to be respectful and not take more than 30 minutes out of their time because of the energy it may take them to use. So just keep that in mind. Um, well, when it comes to past towards that 30-minute mark, you might notice it's harder for you to connect with the spirit. You may start to notice it's hard for you to feel their energy. And also your physical body may also be tired as well. So for me, I know the spirit is tired and ready to go when sometimes I'll see this image, this is my higher self, or them saying time, like we need to speak, wrap this up. And then there's sometimes I'll see an image of the loved one with their back facing as if they're walking away. And that's them, they're not actually walking away, but they're showing, okay, hey, I want to leave, I want to leave. And so then at that point, you want to start leaning towards ending the session. So most of the time, spirit is going to show you certain cues during mediumship that may resonate, or something you may have seen in other mediumships that is not specific to the spirit, but it's just letting you know what they are feeling at the moment. So again, if spirit says this, it may happen with every mediumship you do. That's just the spirit translating to you, the reader, that let's wrap this up again, or I'm tired, or all right, I'm leaving, I'm ready to go, right? Because they may have someone else that they need to be helping. They may be a spirit guide or a guardian for someone, and then we're taking that time away because we're doing that mediumship. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, so with mediumship and channeling, once you have got the information, you can always ask your client to say what they have to say to the spirit that's present, because we're all in a session. The client can, the medium, the spirit will be able to hear everything that your client has to say. And that's something you may have to remind your client, like anytime you need to say something to them, you just call on their name and speak out loud what you have to say, and they can hear you. They will receive the message. So even during the session, always make sure to tell the client, look, if there's anything you need to tell your loved one, go ahead and tell them. They're here, they're listening, they're in receive mode, and let them get that off. And then I also like to ask the spirit that I'm channeling or meeting, to also, if there's anything to close out for the loved one, the client that's there with you. And then once you're done, you thank the spirit, you thank the loved one for using their energy and their time to do the session. And then you tell yourself to disconnect from the loved one, the spirit. Like, you got to tell yourself to disconnect and release the spirit, right? And you have to release, because you need to release not only, that cord between you and the spirit during the session, but you need to also release the spirit's energy that could be left over after the session as well. So if the spirit died from a stroke and you disconnect, but you haven't released them, you may have a headache feeling the stroke energy, the stroke that they had, that might be left with you. So you want to make sure you disconnect and release the spirit so that they can, have all their energy back from you, and you're not left with any ailments that you may feel when they were living. Okay, now, once the spirit has disconnected, so at this time I'm going to also ask my loved ones, I'm going to disconnect and release them as well. Ashe, thank you. I felt all that energy come up. So once you release them, the part of the session when dealing with mediumship and channeling is not really over. Okay, you want to make sure you also pay attention to your loved one, or to your client, to look at their emotional state at the moment. If they're in a state of where they're kind of emotional, they're crying, have the heart and the decency to make sure you are consoling them before you close out that session. Maybe that session was only a 30-minute session, but now you're at 30 minutes, but your client is not stable at the moment. give them that extra time to make sure they're okay before you leave them. Okay. And if you're a healer and you use energy in your healing, send them love and light energy and emotional courage. If you use your hands to send energy, send your hands towards them with the intentions of sending love and light and helping them release the grief that they may be holding on to, right? It's just in good nature to not leave them hanging like that, and to make sure that you at least help them be calm, and maybe even release any feelings and emotions that they may be having. Okay. And then when you're done, you do an empath cleanse to release all feelings, energies, and emotions that belonged to other people, to include your clients. So just like any other session, after you disconnect from everyone, you want to cleanse and clear yourself, cleanse your space, realign your chakras, reconnect with your higher self, call all your life force energy back, and then anything else that you feel that you need to do. You may notice after mediumship, you become really hungry. You may find out that you're really tired after the session. So it's normal to get sleepy and may have to rest. You may notice that you're very thirsty because, again, your physical body was being used by another source. So make sure you rehydrate, eat some food if you need to. Make sure you reground yourself. And during the grounding period, I like to also ask the earth to recharge and rejuvenate me. Recharge and rejuvenate me, because again, your energy and your physical body can feel drained after a session. So at this time, so you can know what that feels like, I would like everyone to call on Mother Earth to recharge and rejuvenate them on all layers. Ashe. Then, of course, thank Mother Earth for using her energy to rejuvenate and recharge us. Ashe. Now, this is coming to me. I know it don't have much to do with mediumship, but it kind of does. I'm being shown to also do this with trees. So we can speak to trees just like they're spirits as well, right? Because they're all living beings. And I'm being shown from Mother Earth to do this with the trees around you, because the trees give off a lot of healing and a lot of cleansing. So if you notice your trees and your yard, that the grass is dead, but the neighbors have good grass, this could be showing that you're pulling a lot from the grass and trees in your yard, and you want to rejuvenate and recharge them so they can then continue to, give the love and support and healing that's needed. Ashe, I think I'm gonna do that tonight. So I thank Mother Earth for that message. So yes, you can do mediumship with the planets. You can do mediumship with the moon. You can do mediumship with the sun. They can also give you messages, okay? So during the full moon, speak to the moon. When you feel led to, speak to the sun, okay? These are all beings as well. Okay, so hopefully you're feeling recharged and rejuvenated, maybe not fully, but maybe feeling, a little bit better than you were after the session. And I think that's going to conclude today's class. It's okay to practice mediumship. There are certain ancestors that are willing to use that time and energy to practice mediumship with you, especially if they are a spirit guide or a guardian angel. So you want to make sure, refer to the ancestor class on how you can create altars and stuff like that to represent your ancestors and spirit guides and guardians, and even how to show them love, how to honor them and feed them if necessary. So we're going to stop here, and I will see you all in the next class. Ashe.